Hey, what's up? This is Spider One,
And this is Chrissy Fox,
and you are listening to
the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 328, where tonight we are going to be talking about 2012's The Lords of Salem, directed, of course, by Rob Zombie. I'm here with, as always, Steve and Todd. Gentlemen, how's your week been?
And we have to mention birthday boy Todd,
Oh.
because this is Todd's birthday episode with his birthday pick.
Oh.
Wow.
So, Todd, are any plans for your birthday this
Any
weekend?
plans for my birthday? Yes, I will be solo backpacking, which sounds like a horror movie by itself. So if I don't show back up on Monday, I've been killed by cannibals, mutants, or
Dysentery.
maybe a bear. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dysentery.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, so turning 37. So little solo clear your mind kind of thing going on. That'd be fun. I missed opportunity though. We should have had little sound effects like they did in the Salem Lords of Salem fucking radio show for every freaking line they did. Whoop, whoop, like,
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Hope you could have a great birthday, May 4th. So
Okay.
everybody wish Todd a
Yeah.
happy birthday on Saturday.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
won't see it though until Sunday.
Star Wars
That's right.
Day.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Star Wars Day.
How do you? Yeah, do you feel overshadowed?
I did.
By
You
the
know what?
day
I have
now,
a bone
they
to pick with
took it over from me.
Disney/George Lucas because it was my birth. Well, actually, no. Star Wars was 77, so I guess they have the rights to it. But when did that become a thing? Because it wasn't a thing when I was growing up.
Fairly recently, I would think, like in the last 10 years. Like, I don't remember hearing
Yeah.
anything about it before. I think it's an internet thing, and just
Yeah,
it
May the
blew up.
4th.
Yeah.
It rhymes. It rhymes for sure.
It's just the same with the Alien Day. That just like probably less
Mhm.
than 10 years ago became a thing on 4/26. So,
Cool.
God bless the internet, I guess. Steve, how you been, buddy? Are we allowed to talk about your house sale?
Yes. It's not a secret. I sold my house over the weekend. Now I'm just going through like inspection and all that stuff, so it's not officially done, but it's a huge relief. I'm tired of doing fucking showings and stuff. But it's a very tight, well, for me anyway, it's a very tight deadline for me to get out of here. So there's going to be a lot of work for me to do in the next month and a half. But happy it's done. The market is not great, so I kind of got lucky here. It's because my house is so awesome. They saw the Nightmare on Elm Street painting that I left up that my agent thought was an African art painting. It's
Coffin really sold it.
Yeah. So hopefully everything goes through by next weekend, and then I could pack up and get out of here. What about you, Joe? What's new with you?
Not much, honestly.
Hey, talk about your
no.
hamburger soup. You got on the stove right now.
Yes, hamburger soup cooking on the stove, ladies and gentlemen. Should be delicious later. I'm excited for that. And that's it. Nothing really new. Spent some time with friends over the weekend. We put on Late Night with the Devil for my third time. I fell asleep though, because we started it kind of late. My buddy watched it though, and he's I would say a casual horror fan, and he really enjoyed it. So, even if you're just a casual horror fan, I think, you'll dig it. So there you have it. All right, Steve, you ready to spill a little tea?
Yeah, let's spill that tea.
Oh, you want the tea? I'm sorry. We don't serve tea. Nope. Instead, you get a cup of Joe. And now here's Joe with the news.
All righty, thank you so much, Chuck. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, your cup of Joe for this week. Let's start off with some big news this week, as of course we knew there was an Evil Dead movie coming out very soon. Sebastian Vanacek slated to direct this new incantation of Evil Dead. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting 2 Evil Dead movies coming very soon, as Deadline has reported that Ghost House Pictures has just hired Francis Jalippi, known for The Last Stop in Yuma County, to write and direct another brand new Evil Dead movie. Both projects obviously in very, very early development, so we cannot give further details as of right now. But of course, the new sort of course for these Evil Dead movies is Sam Raimi has been sort of hand selecting hot like up and coming sort of directors and filmmakers to sort of give their own spin on the Evil Dead franchise and the Deadites. So yeah, I mean, what do you think? I'd be Todd, you're the big Evil Dead guy, I think, out of the three of us. So are you excited? Just keep, giving us more and more Evil Dead?
Yeah, pump them out. But I hope this isn't the trend where they like make 2, 3 movies at the same time, like Strangers. Let's just do one, make it right, see how it does. See what we did wrong, and go from there. But yeah, I mean, if they keep on track with the other four, I mean, I think we'll all be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have the same fear. Right now it's like a almost flawless series. Like every title has been great, and I'm afraid that if they start pumping them out quickly, then they're not going to put the care and attention that they deserve. So hopefully I'm wrong. If Sam Raimi is handpicking the directors, I think that could be a good thing, but remains to be seen. I'll definitely watch it though. I love that series.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the last couple have been great. Let's keep it going. Like there hasn't been a bad Evil Dead movie yet, so keep churning them out until we start seeing lesser quality on them. All right. Next big news here is a new Sleepy Hollow movie is currently in the works. I love the story of course, Sleepy Hollow, the legend, Ichabod Crane and all that. We reviewed Sleepy Hollow, of course, on this movie a while back. Here is my concern, though, about this upcoming Sleepy Hollow movie, because currently slated to direct this one is Lindsay Anderson Beer. Now, you might not know her by name, but what if I told you she directed one of our favorites, something we actually reviewed last year, a little movie called Pet Cemetery Bloodlines, which we all loved very much. So, not really. We all pretty much hated that one, I think. But yeah, she is slated to direct this one, but we'll give her a chance, I think, on this. She is going to be writing and directing as long as producing this one. No other details about whether this is going to be, you know, sort of a remake of sort of like Tim Burton's version, or if this is just going to be a straight adaptation of the source material or whatnot. But I'm still excited about it. I love the story of Sleepy Hollow, and this has potential to be great.
Do we need to see another one? No. If anything, I'd like to see a darker one. So I don't know. I hope it's more horror, I guess, than the Tim Burton version from the 90s, which I did like, but it'd be cool to see a different take on it.
All right, next bit of news here. What do you guys think about The Invisible Man Part 2?
We'll see.
Too late? We'll see. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like I feel like they've kind of missed their time, their moment. They had their chance, but of course, Lee Winnell has kind of moved on as he's slated to be doing the new Wolfman movie that is going to be coming out pretty soon. But yeah, so recently Elizabeth Moss was asked about it and did an interview, and she said that she feels very good about the sequel's development at this time. She said, "We are closer than we have ever been to cracking it. We are very much intent on continuing that story." So it sounds like it's going to happen based on that, but who really knows? But like I just said, I think the time has kind of passed, and the success was there, and now I feel like if they haven't even started filming yet, I mean that means we're at least a couple more years away. I don't know. What do you guys are in agreement?
Yeah, I think it is a little bit too late. It's what, like 4 or 5 years ago at this point, and you're right. And the development, and everything, we're looking at least 2 more years. But they can do some really cool stuff with it. If you use the first one as a template. So I'd still be curious about it. It's not like I'd be totally against it or anything like that. It's not something I'm particularly looking forward to at this time, anyway.
Yeah, agreed. We'll see though. All right, next bit of news here is I didn't really give you guys a heads up on this one, so maybe you guys watched, maybe you didn't, but M. Night Shyamalan's new trailer released for his movie Trap, which has been sort of kept under wraps about the plot. We just knew it was going to be a movie taking place at a concert. Well, we did get the trailer. We found out that this movie is going to be starring Josh Hartnett. I don't really want to give any spoilers because I feel like they spoiled a little too much based on the trailer. But I'll just say it takes place at a concert, sort of a Taylor Swift-esque concert where Josh Hartnett is taking his daughter to a concert, and some bad stuff starts to happen. Did either of you guys happen to watch this?
No, sir.
I'd heard it was spoilery, so I'm like, maybe I'll skip this
Yeah.
one.
I think you're better off not watching it, honestly. But it is slated to release August 9th, 2024, of course, of this year. So something I think we'll probably end up covering because I think this one has really great potential. And yeah, we'll see. All right, next bit of news here is the Rosemary's Baby prequel. Apartment 7A will be the title of this one. And surprisingly, I haven't really heard a lot about it. I just heard that it was sort of in development and stuff like that. Well, apparently it's already been filmed. It's ready to go. And we will be getting the movie this Halloween season straight to streaming on Paramount Plus. So in Apartment 7A, when a struggling young dancer suffers a devastating injury, she finds herself drawn in by dark forces when a peculiar, well-connected older couple promises her shot at fame. I assume, obviously, this is going to take place at the same apartment building at the Dakota where the original took place. And I assume it's going to focus on when they say the older couple, the same couple that kind of dealt with Rosemary and Rosemary's Baby. But this is all assumptions at this point. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but the fact that it's heading straight to streaming, Paramount Plus thing, that kind of wanes my excitement a little bit for it, but we'll see. Has potential.
Yeah. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it stars Julie Gardner from Ozark, and the one who
Correct.
played Anna Delvey, right? She's a fantastic actress. So her being involved gives me a little bit more hope than I would have otherwise for something that's going straight to streaming like that. So maybe, honestly, she's such a good actress that I'd give it a shot basically just on that.
Is that the curly head blonde?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
All right, just a couple more stories to get through then. Season 2 of Wednesday recently added Steve Buscemi to the cast. So, I mean, sold right there. I mean, Buscemi's amazing and everything. So great casting choice there. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 has officially been confirmed for 2025 release. What do you guys think about that? Are you guys excited? Do you think I still haven't even watched the first Five Nights at Freddy movie. So I got to ask you guys, is there potential for this franchise to get better?
I think their lane is the younger crowd, and all the younger crowd liked it, including my kids. So, if they're happy, then so be it. But yeah, it was just an average film, in my opinion. I don't think he can really improve on it.
Yeah, I didn't really like it. I mean, I liked the fucking Tubi ripoff Freddy's Fridays more than I did Five Nights at Freddy's. So yeah, I like Todd said, I'm probably just not the audience for this. Yeah, of course, if they ramped up the horror and made it scarier, I'd like it more, but then it wouldn't hit its target audience anymore. So I doubt they'll go that route. So it was probably a no for me.
I see. Without seeing the first one, is Lillard like gonna come back for this? Like, is he gonna
Probably,
be
yeah.
like a
He'll be
recurring
back.
Flashbacks
character?
at least, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, we'll keep you guys updated on that. And my last bit of horror news tonight is: are either of you guys Old Boy fans?
Old.
So yeah,
What's the Old
the
Boy
Japanese film. Is that what
country.
we're talking?
Oh,
Yes.
like a country
Yes.
fucking song.
Yeah.
Didn't they ever remake
two-
Old Boy?
They did with Josh Brolin
Yeah.
a while back. Yeah, was not great in comparison. Obviously, I forget who else. There was another big actress in that too.
The
I
girl
can't
from
remember.
Marvel, she Miss Scarlet Witch or something like that. What's her name?
Was
Olsen.
it Dakota Johnson?
No,
No,
Or
it's
Elizabeth
Olsen?
Elizabeth Olsen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they did remake it. Yeah. Well, the original Old Boy is going to be developed into a television series. Lionsgate Television is currently partnering with, of course, the original director Park Chan-wook to develop his, of course, movie into a television series. It doesn't say what network we are going to be getting this on, but it just says Lionsgate Television shares. This was a direct statement from, of course, director Park Chan-wook. He said, Lionsgate Television shares my creative vision for bringing Old Boy into the world of television. I look forward to working with a studio whose brand stands for bold, original, and risk-taking storytelling. This is weird to me. Like, I just don't know how you develop this into a television series, but I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued, I guess, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I'm kind of the same way. I just don't see this becoming a TV series. It's such an intense movie as it is. I just don't see them having that kind of energy or like insanity in a TV series. So I don't know. This is a weird one for me.
Agreed. But I'm definitely gonna watch it because I just don't know where they're gonna go. I'm interested to see what the casting choices are gonna be for this. I'm interested to see also, like, I don't know if Lionsgate TV is gonna be like a new streaming service, or if they're gonna strike a deal with some sort of network to get this on. I think HBO would be a good place for a television series like this because you can go pretty dark and fucked up without having to worry about, or even Netflix, I suppose, because they're unedited as well. So, yeah, we shall see. And yeah, that's about all I got this week for horror news. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Alrighty, gentlemen. Salem Horror Fest Weekend 2 kicks off this year. So I know Steve and I have a couple of screeners to discuss in a little bit. But Todd, let's start with you. What you got new this week?
All right. I watched a Lance Henriksen starring 1993 killer dog movie called Man's Best Friend. Have any of you guys seen this one? No? Okay. Basically, it's about some reporters, right? They want to like report on animal cruelty, so they go to this lab that Lance Henriksen's the main scientist at. They see this cute dog named Max. He's a big old boy, about 150 pounds. They break his ass out, but little do they know, he's not a fucking dog. He's a mix of, we're talking jaguar, we're talking bear, we're talking dog, we're talking fucking frogs, we're talking to everything, because Lance is like, you take DNA from the best creatures out there and you combine it into this fucking dog, and he becomes the best guard dog. They're literally making guard dogs. I'm like, that's what you're doing? Like, not military dog, not, no, he's fucking making a guard dog with like frog DNA, like freaking Jurassic Park. Oh, it's got robotic shit in it too. It's fucking wacky, dude. So they take him over, they take the dog, and like she immediately trusts this fucking dog, right? It goes after a criminal, which is justified. I like it. It goes after her husband twice. He's like railing her in the bed and he breaks the fucking door down and goes after him. And I'm like, what are you doing, lady? This dog is not sane, right? And then there's this like 8-year-old kid that randomly comes in and out of her house without being invited. And she's like, oh, cool, you got a new dog? Can I take him to meet my dog? And she's like, sure, take this fucking giant dog out that's attacked my husband twice already. No big deal. Takes the fucking dog over to his house. His dog hates him, scared of him, runs off. Later down the line, Max the dog breaks out of his fucking yard and rapes that dog. And they film it like a rape, dude. He sneaks into the house. He literally closes the fucking door. All right. He locks the other dog in the bedroom on a bed, and then it pans out and the dog starts screaming. It's fucking really weird, man. So the tone is like family comedy where they're like, oh, the dog is cute, he's fun. And then it's got dog rape in it, and then it's got ultra violence and then animal cruelty. The kids like are supposed to be really nice and they order the dog to kill a cat, and it's a really like effective scene. Like it's really like gnarly what they do, but it's also very disturbing because like what the fuck these kids, like, I don't know. So the movie is all over the place. The tone, there's a couple cool gags in there, but gosh, like pick a lane. Either you're a family movie, you're a horror movie, you're a comedy, something. But wow, they really went there with the dog rape and they made it very, very fucking weird. So it's a 3 out of 5 for me, and I watched that on tape.
My goodness. I've always I remember that movie cover very distinctly, like at the video stores, but that's one I've never checked out. So sounds interesting. So maybe I'll check it out sometime.
it's interesting.
Steve, you got anything non-Salem Horror Fest related this week?
I do. I have one. So sorry, I'm still disturbed by Todd's movie review there. Definitely not
Yes.
one. I'm
The
gonna
dog rape?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be
Dog
watching that
rape
one.
is-
Honestly.
Dude, the dog tries to hide under a pillow, and then the bad dog literally, I'm not making this up, he shuts the door and then turns around ominously and stares at the dog. I'm like, what are we doing, guys?
That's so weird. Okay, yeah. So speaking of weird, we just had our monthly movie club movie night over with our Discord on Friday, and we picked another one of Todd's disturbing reviews that he had done maybe a month ago, and we watched 2015's Deep Dark, which we watched over on Tubi. So this is the story of an artist, and he makes these like little art installation pieces that are not successful whatsoever. And he goes to an art gallery, and things like just go really wrong. And he's basically like begging to have one last chance to be able to have an art piece in this installation. So she agrees to do it, but if he doesn't produce like the best piece of art ever in 2 weeks, he'll never, especially never be invited to any of these art shows again. So he goes to this apartment that his like uncle or something had, and it's this really like shitty apartment, and it's got a like a weird painting in it, which he removes, and there's a hole behind the painting that starts talking to him, and he starts having like a relationship with this hole, and eventually the hole produces like this goo that he puts on his art piece, and the art piece becomes like this huge thing that people are drawn to, and it's making him like more popular in the art world and things like that. So he goes back and wants to make more art, but the hole starts asking him for more favors. So it's first he wants it to kiss, and then he wants it to touch it inappropriately, and then it goes a little bit further than that. I'm sure you can use your imagination of what this dude does with the hole. And yeah, so the story is basically that it gets darker and darker, kind of like what Todd said. It's kind of like a mix of The Special and Glorious. It's a weird film, that's for sure. It was interesting. It was like an interesting film, but I found the film like lacked focus. They bring in characters and start these story arcs, and then just end it, and then you don't hear about that character anymore. Like there's this girl that comes in, and there's like a plot line where the person who owns the building or lives in the building is interested in this guy, and then she has a confrontation with the whole, and then something happens to her, and then she leaves and just never comes back. We don't get a resolution for what happened to her, why she doesn't show up anymore. It's just like a lot of small plot points like that kind of annoyed me because it didn't go anywhere. But there are solid performances and definitely some memorable scenes. It was fun to watch in a group, so thank you to all the people who showed up. Yeah, it's not one I'd watch again, that's for sure, but it was entertaining watch. So that's Deep Dark that you can watch over on Tubi, and I gave 2.5 stars out of 5.
They should have named it Glory Hole.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, I'm bummed you guys got it 2 to 5. I think I got it a 3 to 3.5.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah.
All right, I got one before we head into Salem Horror Fest. I got Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2 from 1987. I decided to check this one out because I'm heading to Texas Frightmare weekend in a couple of weeks, and one of the actresses is going to be there from the movie. Also, I didn't know Michael Ironside was in this one as well, so I was like, I got to check it out. This one has nothing really to do with the first Prom Night at all. It's sort of just a sequel by name only. This one starts off in 1957. We have a high school prom going on. Mary Lou, she's fucking around on her date that brought her there. She's kind of not a good person. She's kind of getting drunk at the prom, fucking around with other boys, and she just doesn't seem, bullying other girls and stuff like that. Well, the boy she ends up cheating on with, in order to get his revenge, when she is crowned prom queen that night, he decides to throw a stink bomb down on stage for revenge. Well, stink bomb lands on her dress, engulfing poor Mary Lou in flames, charring her, killing her. This takes place in the first 5 minutes of the movie, so it's not too spoilery. Flash forward 30 years later, we are at the same exact high school with a new young woman who is attempting to be prom queen. Well, Mary Lou has returned. She is, I'm trying to think of the right word here, is, I guess, resurrected somehow, some way. Her spirit is essentially brought back into this high school. She ends up possessing this new young girl in order to be prom queen. once again. And that's basically your story. I actually thought this movie was great. I was not expecting much out of it, but I think it's probably not a 80s horror movie that a lot of people have probably seen or it talks about, but I gotta say this is definitely an underrated gem. It's sort of Carrie meets Nightmare on Elm Street in a lot of ways. Definitely very heavy Carrie themes in this one, but there also is some really cool scenes with the spirit of Mary Lou that reminded me a lot of sort of very like Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. There's one great scene in particular with a chalkboard that I won't get into, but it gets very like dream sequency, and it's a very, very cool, memorable scene. The dueling Mary Lou characters, like the girl that she possesses, is fantastic in this, and then Mary Lou herself is very good. So that's a whole sort of compelling thing. And then, man, there's an end scene with this like it turns almost sort of full Night of the Demons at one point. That's really fucking badass. It's like a whole metamorphosis scene that is really, really cool. So there's great practical effects in here. It's a really like good story. And the movie's just like 80s, man. 80s had like such a charm to it. Like whenever you watch an 80s movie, it just kind of to me is sort of like a warm hug in a lot of ways. So I highly recommend this one. I gave it 4 out of 5. I think it's definitely one any horror fan who is into 80s horror should check out. So that's Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2.
Sounds awesome. I added it to my list.
Yeah,
I didn't like
I
Prom
think
Night, so I never
yeah.
watched the sequels.
This is way better than Prom Night.
Yeah.
Like the original. This is actually one where I would say the sequel surpasses the original.
Okay, cool.
All right, Steve, should we get into some Salem Horror Fest coverage then?
Let's do it.
All right, Salem Horror Fest weekend 1 seemed to went off very successfully for them, so congratulations for that. Albeit they had a cancellation, of course, on opening night from Kathleen and Jimmy, which was unfortunate, but they were able to pivot, and it seemed like they had a very successful weekend. They were pretty much at capacity all weekend for all their events, so congratulations to them. Weekend 2 kicks off this weekend. Steve and I got a couple of screeners to check out. Did you watch both, Steve? Or were you able to
Just
only
live
the one?
screeners. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start off with the one I watched then on my own. 2024's Carnage for Christmas. This movie is about a young lady. She is a true crime podcaster named Lola. When she was a child in her hometown, she witnessed a murder that happened at this house. And there's sort of like this urban legend about like ghosts of this town, and the town is cursed and stuff like that after sort of this all happened. I should also note that Lola is trans, so she is transitioning. So this is her first time back to this town since her transitioning. So she's heads back to her town and deals with sort of the unfortunate bullies and stuff
Bigotry,
like that
perhaps?
the bigotry, I guess, is the right word. So she's dealing with that, and also dealing with the ghosts and the curse of the town. And there's a new killer on the loose as well. So she and her group of friends try to solve this murder, figure out who is the murderer in this town during Christmas time of this year, or when this movie takes place. Man, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on this movie because after I watched it, I found out it was an 18-year-old girl who did direct this one. So it's very amateur, I would say, in a lot of ways. I think it started pretty strong. So I'll give big props to the actor that played Lola, because I think with what they were given, they actually did a really solid job here. But for me, man, it was just dull. I will say the killer did look really cool. It was sort of like a old school sort of Santa looking mask with blood on it and stuff like that. But at 70 minutes, like I felt like this movie was like 2.5 hours long. Like I just really, it just seemed to really drag on for me. So yeah, it's just it's just very low budget, very amateur. I just don't think it's meant for the masses yet, right? Like I think this was one that you show to sort of your friends and stuff like that, but not put out for the masses. I think I mean, at 18 years old, I think there's potential there in the future, but for me, for something that is out there for the masses to watch and enjoy, I got to be impartial and say I did not enjoy this one for the most part. But I think there's probably an audience out there for it, but it just wasn't for me. So that was Carnage for Christmas.
All right,
Anyways,
so I'll talk about the movie that both Joe and I watched, and it's the only one I could watch this week, unfortunately, with all my house stuff and have a lot of time to watch movies. But this one is called Live Screamers. It is actually the sequel to Live Scream. Unfortunately, Live Scream is not available anywhere in Canada, so I could not watch the original, but I don't think it matters. It seems to be just using the idea for the sequel and just kind of a new game, you can call it. So this one is a story of a group of kind of Twitch gamers, kind of a let's play people. I don't know if any of you have actually watched like let's play streamers. It's basically like a group who are in the same room and they play a video game together and stream it online on Twitch. And that's what they are. And they bring in one of their number one fans to join them on this particular broadcast, and they're actually playing a game that they got kind of like a screener, but for video games. It's like an early access thing for a horror game that they're going to all play together and just have fun with. So they play this horror game, and it's all jokes and things like that. And you're starting to get to know a little bit about the personalities in this group. But all of a sudden, somebody gets killed in the game, which reflects in real life. It happens to the person in the room as well. And then they realize that they are stuck in this room because if they get out, they'll all die. So they either have to finish the game or die trying. And that's kind of the story. They go through this game together and start dying off, one by one. And as they grow through this process, you start learning more about the characters and the people who are there. And you learn some really nefarious stuff that some of them have done. They start turning on each other because the game is essentially manipulating them in a way that's revealing their secrets and things like that. So this is a really interesting premise. I really loved the premise. I was really into it, kind of the same way that we were talking about Late Night with the Devil last week, where I felt like I was watching a late night television show progressing. This was like me watching kind of a YouTube or Twitch stream of people just playing and having fun and stuff like that. So in that regard, I was really into it. I thought there were some cool kills at times. The game looked pretty decent, like not great, but it looked pretty decent. My only issue is I thought a lot of the characters were very unlikable, and it makes it hard for me to root for them when they're unlikable like that. And I think part of the reason for that is the writing, because I think the performances were decent for a film like this, but it felt a little too like there was too much of an agenda that didn't quite serve the story. It felt like it was just put in there for the sake of getting the writer, director, whomever conceived this movie, their like kind of opinions out there. And I'm all for it if it fits the story, but it didn't. It felt out of place, and it became too much of getting on your soapbox and talking about the injustices of the world, which, like I said, is important, but there's a time and place for that. And if it serves your story, do it. But in this one, it just felt out of place, and I didn't love it about it. But still, I had fun watching it, and curious what Joe thinks on this one.
yeah, I echo pretty much everything you said. I think the premise was really cool. Watching sort of Twitch streamers playing a video game. The video game seemed cool. It's like a horror-based video game. Obviously like very like Stay Alive-esque in a lot of ways. I thought the kills were, most of them were pretty cool, pretty inventive and stuff like that. But man, just like the preachiness, like you said, like the just like getting on your soapbox and just getting into all this sort of stuff. It just felt like you said, very out of place a lot of the time. It just did not come off genuine to me with most of these characters. And like you said, I think most of the character, I don't think there was one likable character really in this movie. So you really weren't rooting for anyone. You were kind of rooting for them all to sort of die by the end of the movie. But I thought it was still like a very entertaining movie in a lot of ways. Like I was never bored. I always kind of wanted to see what was happening. Did I roll my eyes at some of the dialogue and stuff? Absolutely. But I don't regret watching it. Would I watch it again? No, but I think it's a decent watch, and I think some people will probably get even more enjoyment out of it than it sounds like we both did. So I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 personally. I like I said, I think it could have been even better had they kind of reeled it in a little bit. But yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, and I gave it a 3 out of 5 because I was really entertained. And it's weird because I agree with a lot of the stuff they're saying in the movie. It just
Right? Yeah,
wasn't the movie
absolutely.
for it. That's the problem, right?
Right.
It's like if you're talking about racism in the context of something like Get Out or Candyman, absolutely, it makes sense. That's what the movie's about. But it's just they're taking out these things mid game that's gonna kill you, and just like going
Right.
on these like rants and stuff. And it was odd. And I was also
Right.
a little nitpick, and I had the same nitpick with that other fucking game thing, that escape room. They were a little too quick at solving some shit. Like I've been in
Mm.
escape rooms, I've played games like this, a little bit too quick. 'Cause, like you got 30 seconds to fucking figure out, things that you need, 3 different things in a room, and it needs all like no, that's unrealistic. But it is what it is. It is a movie, right?
Yeah. So I guess my final question, Steve, is out of all the coverage we did for Salem Horror Fest, is it still Sins of Our Father is your number one?
Absolutely. I really liked
Okay.
Sins of Our Father. Now, Sins of Our Father, interestingly enough, is actually available on Tubi right now. I only found that out after. So if you want to check it out, yeah, it's one that I enjoyed. I thought it was a cool take on the subject. I don't even want to say what it is because it surprised me. So on the subject matter that it portrays. What about you?
Excellent. I have not. That's the only screener I didn't watch yet, so I'll definitely jump on that probably within the next week or so. I'll give it to Faceless After Dark. I thought it was an entertaining movie. I think it's one that horror fans will probably dig, especially Terrifier fans, obviously, with Jenna Cannell. And I said it in my Letterboxd review, but it's like basically American Psycho 2 if it was a good movie, essentially. So yeah, I think that's one overall. I think I got the most enjoyment out of. But I think if you're a gamer, I think Live Screamers definitely has the potential as well there. So yeah, I think that's it. That's all we got. So thank you once again, Salem Horror Fest. They come around they moved from October to April last year. So if you want to check them out next year, keep an eye on them. SalemHorror.com every April. I'm going to attempt to attend the Romero Resident Evil screening this Sunday coming up. So I'm hoping I'll be able to see that in person. And we tried to get a screener for it. We unfortunately couldn't get it. So I'm going to attempt to see that in person on Sunday. And hopefully I can give you guys a review on that next week. All right, Todd. Bust out the books, baby. Let's do it. Horror trivia.
All right. Quarter number 2, myself in the lead with 6. Steve and Joe tied with 4 apiece. Any man's game. Who would like to lead off today?
I'll go.
Oof.
Just because I have it up on my phone. So
Right.
Big Papa Steve.
Yeah. So to help you guys out a little bit, I'm going to give you the theme for the week. I came across a random article on the Google that said top 25 movies inspired by the city of Salem and the Salem witch trials. Whether I agree with this list or not, some of them are a little loosely tied to the Salem witch trials or Salem itself. But I picked 3 movies out of that list, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of where I'm going with these questions.
Okay.
So first one, as I love to do, is best guess the movie based off the IMDb parental guide. Sex and nudity.
Yeah, please.
While the woman's breasts are exposed, they are sometimes in the form of CG or practical effects. Additionally, exposure of the pubic area is restrained. When the pubic area is shown in passing, it is a blurry dark spot.
So yeah, CGI boobies. Interesting.
Next one, violence and gore. A severely burned man is examined and an autopsy is performed. Profanity. Infrequent strong profanity. Fuck 9 times, shit 5 times, and goddamn once. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. The main actor is briefly shown lighting and smoking a cigarette. This one instant lasts about 10 seconds. Not a whole lot of help there. Frightening and intense scenes. The axe scene is particularly distressing and violent.
Well, I have no clue.
These movies based on Salem of the Witch Trials?
Loosely, I would say, with this one.
Loosely.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it does, I'll give you guys a hint. It does involve a witch in some way.
Frailty.
Wrong.
Okay. It's got a witch in it, and an autopsy,
And an axe scene.
and a CG boobie,
And CG boobies.
and practical boobies. So, practical as in their makeup boobies, or
And
practical
a
as in
man
real life boobies.
smokes.
No, I think they're actually a dummy.
Tell me, okay.
Hmm.
The smoking man should be the giveaway. That should be the.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I got nothing. I got
Nada,
nothing.
zero.
No? All right, you guys got?
Yeah.
You're on the right track there, Todd. It is the autopsy of Jane Doe,
Hmm.
who turns
Okay.
out to be a witch.
It's a good movie too.
And I think
Great
they just
movie.
featured
Time
it
for a
on
rewatch.
Joe Bob's.
Joe Bob. Yeah.
So a lot of chatter about it lately.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We all watched this movie and we all reviewed it.
Oh,
Ooh.
What is the name of the military project that leads to the events of The Mist from 2007?
It's a great question.
People say it like fucking 9 times. The army's
They
up there
do.
doing the what?
it's like the
Mhm.
name of the project, like the Manhattan
Yes.
Project type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
The Alien Mist Project.
Close.
It has, yeah. It
It's,
has
it's
a,
nothing
yeah.
special. It's just a name. Yeah.
No, it's not. I remember, but I don't.
All right. Well, the name of the project is the Arrowhead Project.
Yeah, I
The Arrowhead Project.
wouldn't
Okay.
remember that.
All right. All right. Well, I get a softball to start us off tonight.
Oh,
Nice.
Rob Zombie, of
Mhm.
course, directed tonight's movie,
He did.
Lords of Salem.
Yes.
So I ask
I
you.
think- pretty sure. Yes, true or false.
So I ask you, what is Rob Zombie's highest grossing movie?
Halloween.
Halloween.
Correct. I
I
think
said
it was
first.
Todd, but it was close.
I had
Oh,
no
Steve said it
idea.
first.
Yeah, I'm sure I said it first.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
I was already done by the time you said it. So.
Stupid. I'll put one on each and we'll go back to the books. Even though the guy that does the books
Yep.
answered the question, but
All right. So this is a new one. This is
Okay.
Guess the Movie based off the IMDb plot details.
Oh,
So they have like
Okay.
tags, 1-word tags that they do for movies, so that if you want to find something on a very specific subject, you can find movies in IMDb with that tag. So I'm just going to read out fairly quickly the top 10 tags for this movie. And remember my theme.
Okay.
Forest, lesbianism, murder,
yes. All right.
curse, pastor, knife, killer, finale, midnight, and escape.
Phantasm.
Wrong.
The Witch.
Wrong. Is one more guess? I'll
Oh,
give you guys a pretty strong hint.
okay.
Yes.
Hit us with
We,
that hint.
we reviewed it on this
We
podcast.
reviewed it. I hate when you give that hint because that doesn't help ever.
Well, it narrows it down to like, 300.
But my memory,
people.
Steve, my memory.
The
Hit me with
lesbianism
hit me
is
with the
throwing me
10.
off
Hit me with
slightly.
the little tidbits
Lesbian?
again.
Okay.
Yep.
Forest, lesbianism, murder,
Hmm.
purse, pastor, knife, killer, finale, midnight, and escape.
What did we all rate it on Letterboxd?
Don't you
Can tell me?
fucking dare do that. Dead end.
Wrong.
I thought I had it. Fuck.
Joe, you want one more guess?
I feel like the lesbianism should really like
Is that a word? Lesbianism?
give us a good hint.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like that should kind of
Well,
sway
you
me
are a
somewhere, but it
connoisseur.
doesn't. I am, I guess, if you say so. I don't know.
All right. So the answer was Fear Street, 1666.
Fear Street. Fear
Yes.
Street.
Yep, that's
Fear
right.
Street.
Yes.
We reviewed all
good
three
one.
in the same episode. I think it's
Well,
episode 184.
Mhm.
I will never watch those
Yes.
again.
Yeah, I don't think I will either.
Yeah.
They're all right though.
I might. Well,
They're
before
supposed to
the
be doing
before
more.
the new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, back to me.
No, not
No,
yet.
maybe not.
So I'm
okay, fine.
I'm reading the Lost Boys making of book. I'm about halfway through. It's pretty good. So
Cool.
we all watched it. We all reviewed it.
Mhm.
What is the name of Max, who is the head vampire, video store owner / dating of the mom guy? What is his dog's name?
Max. That'd be funny.
Incorrect.
Big Max, little Max.
I feel like it has
attacks
like
the
a
mother.
yeah. I feel like it had like a devilish name
Yes.
of some
It
kind.
doesn't. It has a
Yeah.
little mean name. Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
painful
I
name.
can't remember though. Damien.
Incorrect. Steve, would you like a real guess?
I have no idea.
Max was your real guess. Okay.
Hmm.
The answer is Thorn.
Mm.
The answer is
Thorn.
Thorn. Yeah.
Tough night.
We
Tough
will
night.
be
sir.
having another dog question when I go again.
Yeah.
So get ready.
Okay. All right. Guess the movie based on the IMDb information. This movie was released in 2021 with an R rating. Genres: horror, suspense, mystery, and thriller. Currently sitting at a 6.3 out of 10 over on IMDb. Director: Michael Chavis. Tagline is "The demonic case that shocked America."
Is it Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It?
Correct.
Correct. Nice.
Okay, so I'm pivoting here. So this is no longer with my theme because Jill, basically I was gonna say the French translation to The Devil Made Me Do It, but now I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm going
What are the odds?
to the Kayla Bank.
Ooh.
Which, by the way,
Kayla.
just celebrated a birthday. So happy birthday, Kayla.
Kayla.
Oh, happy birthday.
In House of Thousand Corpses, who is the first murderer on the murder ride?
Oh, it's a good question.
Ed Gein.
Wrong.
Fuck. Oh, I got another guess if Joe fails.
Ooh. Albert Fish.
Correct.
Fuck. Damn.
Albert Fish.
Yes.
Albert Fish.
Thank you, Kayla, for saving me.
Kayla.
Sexual organs.
In the Lost sexual organs. In the Lost Boys, which we reviewed, which we covered, which we all watched.
Again.
Yep. Going back to Lost Boys. What is the name of Michael? What is the name of Michael's love interest?
Yes. Played by now billionaire.
Yeah. She doesn't like tornadoes. She finds them very windy and intense.
Jamie Gertz, I believe is her name.
Correct. You got the actress's name.
I did. I can't remember her name, character name.
I'm gonna say
we
Sally.
don't know.
I have no
we
idea.
don't know character names around here.
Yeah.
No, you got. Well, no, nothing.
No.
Kind of a hippie
Jamie.
name if that helps. No, it's kind of a hippie name.
Hippie.
Yeah.
Let's go with Pam.
How's no,
I
it's
don't
not
know. That's more southern than.
Pam.
I don't know.
Nothing. Star. Her name is Star.
Oh, okay.
Star. That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Awful night tonight.
Oh
Awful.
yeah.
Gee whiz.
Struggle. It's a struggle. Okay. 3 letterboxd reviews. Can you guess the movie?
All right.
Number 1. Backwoods Carnival Bloodbath Boogie slathered in crusty sleaze.
Ooh, I like that.
I have one, but
Number
I don't
2.
want to say it.
I do too. I'm saving it.
Number 2. Dusty dad rock Western horror banger that occupies the exact intersections of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, The Wild Bunch, and Bonnie and
Near Dark.
Clyde. Incorrect.
Shit.
And finally,
Fuck.
a badass opening shootout, an Elvis-loving sheriff hell-bent on revenge,
Fuck you,
a
Steve. You better not get it.
shocking, brutal hotel scene.
You better not get it, you son of a bitch.
The Devil's Rejects.
Yes. Fuck.
Correct.
Damn it.
I like blanked and I knew exactly what it was, but I knew it after the second one. But
Don't you ever take Elvis Aaron Presley's name in vain.
great movie.
I've only seen that like 3 times.
We'll have to review it one day.
Preferred Corpses. Yeah.
We'll have to
It's been a minute.
finish. We'll
It's
have to
been a
finish
minute,
the
yeah.
trilogy because we did the other 2.
I think we've covered like
Oh,
every
yeah, we
Rob
did.
Zombie movie almost now.
We're getting there. We're for someone we're not like a huge fan of. We're like getting close to his whole filmography.
Well, he's got like 7.
I don't think we covered 31.
No,
that
we
might
didn't.
be one we never did.
Ugh,
but
I never
31
fucked that
and
movie.
Devil's Rejects might be the only 2.
the only
after
2
tonight.
at this point, yeah.
I think so. Well,
All
other than
right.
like his Super Beasto and all that stuff.
Yeah, that movie's terrible too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't count that.
Right.
All right. Steve with the big night. 3, possible 2. Me 1, possible 0. Joe with 1. 4, tied at first place. Steve at 7, myself 7, Joe 5. For quarter number 2.
Anyone's game.
It fucking. I know Steve got 3 almost, maybe, but it's still like fucking terrible night.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
You know, these nights happen. It's okay.
we took a week off last week. We were rusty.
Can't perform every night, you know. It
Yeah,
happens.
exactly.
All right. Well,
Wait, I got one more
let's-
thing before we go into the review.
Oh, all right.
What should I watch during camping? I'm thinking The Ritual
Ooh. Yes,
be a
that's a
good
good
one?
one.
That's a good one.
or
Yep.
Blair Witch Project. I don't know. I'm
Blair
on the
Witch
fence.
classic, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, if you had to pick one or the other,
Mhm.
I think Blair Witch would probably be the most immersive.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to do it. Sweet.
Nice.
All right. All right. Well, now that we have that settled, let's get into our main event of the evening. Of course, 2012's The Lords of Salem, directed by Mr. Rob Zombie, starring Sherry Moon Zombie, Meg Foster, Bruce Davison, Jeff Daniel Phillips, and Ken Foree. Also, Dee Wallace. Can't forget her. Todd. Oh, actually, let me read the plot synopsis real quick over on IMDb. Radio DJ Heidi is sent a box containing a record, a gift from the Lords of Salem. The sounds within the grooves trigger flashbacks of her town's violent past. Is Heidi going mad? Or are the Lords back to take revenge on Salem, Massachusetts? Todd,
Yes.
you love Rob Zombie. You're indifferent about Rob Zombie. I don't really know, but you're
I-
a great plot synopsis man.
Thank you.
So let's hear it.
I will to answer your question or your statement. House of Thousand Corpses, I love. All the other ones are just But anyway, we
Devil's Rejects?
I don't know. I don't know if
Oh,
I love it.
Definitely
Yeah.
a rewatch. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they kind of try to make it too like not dirty, because Corpses is like really kind of goofy and dirty, and then they kind of like cleaned it up a bit with Rejects. But that's another movie for another time. All right, so yeah, we pick up with Mr. Jonathan Hawthorne, back in 1696, right? He's monologuing, he's writing in his journal about the fucking witches, dude. Margaret Morgan, and they're out there in the woods. He can hear them. They're doing devil shit. We cut to them, and they're like a bunch of mostly old hags, just around a fire. They're talking blasphemy against the Lord, talking about how they hate everything, and they're like, "Fuck this, fuck that." They get naked, and I'm pretty sure one of them was wearing a bodysuit, right? That definitely wasn't her nude body. It's kind of strange. And then yeah, they're doing their fucking witch thing. Flash forward here, and we are with Sherry Moon, who plays Heidi. She's a local Salem rock radio host with Ken Foray and Jeff Daniel Phillips, who all are her co-hosts around her. They're a little wacky, they're a little wonky. They have some awards, award-winning show, and things like that. When the shift is over, she gets sent a mysterious box, right, with a record in it, and her receptionist is like, "I don't know who sent it, dude. It's just for you." And she's like, "All right, cool." Takes it home. Jeffrey Daniel Phillips tries to bang her, doesn't succeed, but he does play the record, which puts Sherry Moon in a trance. And she kind of like has flashbacks towards like these witches and starts seeing shit, right? And there's ghosts that are like creeping around that she doesn't see, but we do. So yeah, we follow along, and she starts getting, worse and worse, feeling ill, things like that. Has visions. Like thinks there's someone living down the hallway in a vacant apartment, but there's no one there, according to the landlady. And then yeah, she's just trying to figure out what's going on. There's a guy that came on the radio show program that he wrote like a Salem book, right, or a witches trial book, something like that. And that's he kind of hears the record, and he looks back at his notes, and he connects the dots with like, oh shit, like this record is playing the same notes as in Jonathan Hawthorne's diary. Like, oh fuck, I'm gonna crack the case, and we'll leave it at that. First time I watched this movie, probably circa 2012 when it came out, absolutely hated it. Gave I believe, a second rewatch a few years ago, and I'm like, whoa, it like turned me around completely. So this is either the third or the fourth one. And I think it's a solid movie. I think it has some good building blocks, but there are some Rob Zombie isms in here that just don't work, and he does it in every single movie. Sherry Moon, though, is surprisingly pretty dang good in this. Like, she's not over the top. She's pretty solid in my opinion. Jeffrey Daniel Phillips, I think, does a awesome. He plays his part awesome. The guy that's like, he wants to bang her. Maybe he has a couple times in the past. He wants to be the love interest, but she's not for it. And of course, Ken Foray. Whenever you see him, he's a treat. Like I said, some Rob Zombie bullshit in here, but I think overall this is a good movie, but it lacks a certain polish, and someone needed to kind of filter a few things and kind of tighten it up to make it a better film. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I hadn't seen this since it first came out back in 2012. I also remember absolutely hating it when it came out, but since then I've moved to Salem, so I was excited to recheck this out just based on that alone. And also, like, my tastes have changed a lot in the last 12 years. I was like 25, I think, when this movie first came out. So, like, I wasn't really looking for movies like this, sort of the slow burn, sort of fever dream type movies. I was kind of all about the blood and gore back then. So, with a different mind frame, and I think an open mind, because I remember like kind of being pretty anti Rob Zombie movies at the time when this came out as well. And I gotta say, I think this is maybe Rob Zombie's best film as far as like a filmmaker. Like you can tell like it's like it's like an actual movie. Like there's not it doesn't have like it's very like polished in a lot of ways compared to his other stuff, which I was very impressed with, honestly. I think it showed that he can be a great filmmaker when he's kind of does his own thing and stuff like that. But like Todd said, he couldn't help himself. There's those Rob Zombieisms do come in and kind of kill that a little bit here. But yeah, this is like honestly, it reminded me of like very A24 like style horror in a lot of ways here. And I gotta say, I came out a hell of a lot more positive than I did the first time. I definitely have some issues with it, but overall, I enjoyed it a lot more this time around. I really liked I really like he does like a lot here. Like it may be a little too much, honestly, but like he tackles like the tackle of addiction in this movie too. I felt to be pretty interesting, and I don't know if like he was trying to use metaphors and stuff like that, or if this is just like if I'm giving him too much credit. I don't really know, but I wish I don't know. I wish I do wish he had some like a someone to sort of look at this script and give him some revisions or something like that, because I think it does lack some bit of focus at times, but I mean, I for the most part, I came out a lot more impressed this time around.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing for me, where I saw it close to its release and didn't like it at all. But things have changed pretty dramatically since then. My tastes have changed. Unlike Joe, I don't live in Salem, but I've been to Salem 4 times now, so I know the streets more and I recognize certain places and landmarks and stuff in the movie. So that was cool just on its own. And I definitely came out appreciating this movie a lot more. I think artistically, it's an interesting film. There are a lot of cool visuals, and he plays around with different like creature effects, and it's all practical. There's absolutely no CG in this, which I, very much appreciate. You could tell that Rob Zombie is a horror fan, having made something like this. So that was really cool. It just, as much as I enjoyed like watching it and kind of experiencing it, there's just a lot of stuff that was a little too weird and that didn't really make sense. And some of the shots, I'm like, I don't understand why this is here. And like, I just had some issues with like some things, which I think is what you guys mean by Rob Zombieisms. Just things that he's done in a lot of his movies that it's just like, if it was just a little bit more focused, it could have been a lot better. But there are definitely some really cool stuff in here. I liked the effects very, very much. There's like creepy, I don't know what they are, like dead people that kind of look like they're melted a little bit. Those were cool. One of them was walking a goat, which is like, this is Joe's future, just walking around Salem with his goat. I think was cool like that. And yeah, there's definitely some moments I want to talk about, but as a film as a whole, I enjoyed it. It was a cool watch.
One thing I noticed, there's a ton of walking in this movie.
There is, yeah,
A ton.
yeah.
And there's a whole scene where she's walking in the morning and then comes back at night walking. Like, was she walking the whole fucking day?
Yeah, you
But
just want to show
Salem is a
Salem.
very walkable city.
Yeah.
And this is all filmed. All the exterior is pretty much all in Salem. Besides, I think the radio station that did not look familiar to me. But other than that, like I
We
didn't
should
even
do.
realize. I literally walked by the Lords of Salem house, like her apartment building, like almost like daily. Like,
That's
you know what
cool.
I mean? Like, yeah.
Send us a
So
picture
I
next
was
time
like,
you
I
do it.
didn't. I will for sure. Yeah, next time we walk downtown, because like I walk right by it every time we walk downtown. So
Yeah, you have to
I'll
point it
definitely
out
take a
when we
picture of
go
that.
this
Yeah, for
October.
sure. I will. Yeah. Um. Yeah, and then a couple places that don't the pier he's on when he makes the call that got torn down recently. That doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see Salem, a lot of it, and it's cool. I wish I lived here when he was filming because that would have been pretty cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. Where what should we tackle
Well,
first?
I
What do
just
you
want to
got?
say I appreciate that Rob, he always manages to make gross, like he always pulls that off.
Hmm.
Like for the witch's ritual, they all get nude and stuff, and they're all like sweating and just smoky and dirty, and then they pull out a baby and spit in its face. I'm like, gosh damn, Rob, calm down. But like he's always very effective with that. Like he can get that shit done. But like he does have like his maybe it's his love of Sherry Moon. I don't know. Like maybe it's some stuff she can't pull off, but I do think she was pretty good in this. But
Yeah.
there's like she plays baby and corpses great, and then she plays this character great, I think, and then everything in between, which like is not good. But I don't know. That doesn't really apply to this movie. But how do you feel about the radio program alone? Like, would you listen to it with fucking wonky ass sound effects every minute?
I mean, it was really weird. And this is like one of the Rob Zombie isms, I guess, of it. It's like if this is supposed to be taking place in like modern day Salem, like it seemed like a fucking like 80s or 70s radio show. Like I've never heard a radio show like that in 2012. So to me, that seemed a little far-fetched in a lot of ways. So yeah, that like whole part of it, I didn't really buy. Honestly, I don't even know if it was necessary, honestly, to the plot. I mean, it was just a way to get Ken Foree, I feel like, into the movie, which is okay. And then he wears that like weird like 70s style wig or whatever too, or whatever that looked terrible on him. But yeah, I mean, I feel like they could have given her like another job or something like that, and it probably would have been a little more like, I don't know, realistic, I guess. But
Well, I
I
mean, she
wasn't
needed a
buying the
way to
whole
get
radio
the
shtick. Yeah, I
Sorry,
guess
she
the
needed a way to get
record,
the
right?
record out to
Yeah,
the whores of
right.
Salem or whatever they called them, the whores of Salem, right? Salem, something like that.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah, yeah, I think so. And that was like another thing. I feel like I don't know. I feel like they could have did more with that, right? Like the record plays and the women of Salem like are all kind of listening to it. But I feel like it does go somewhere, I guess, at the very end. But I feel like there could have been more of sort of a trance like thing with sort of more of the women of Salem rather than just her that we see. I think there could have been a little bit more thrown in there, which I think would have been cool. But the
Yeah,
music was fucking awesome. I love the music.
I actually agree with that. I think, yeah, you have a good beginning and a good end, but they need to fill the middle because those two events happen too far from each other. So they hear the music and they go into that trance, and then like an hour later, they do the payoff for that, where that doesn't make sense. Like, where were they? Were they just shambling around their apartments for 2 days, 3 days, whatever the case may be, and then went to that concert thing? Like, it just, I don't know. It was kind of a weird scene that they should have transitioned somehow.
Did they play the record twice over the air, or was it just that original time?
Just the one time, from
Okay,
what I
yeah,
remember.
that
Actually,
doesn't make sense
they
actually.
might play it. Actually, I think they did play it twice. They played it the very first time, and then I think they play it again when they announced that the Lords are coming
Oh,
to
okay.
town or whatever like
Well, maybe
that.
then
But they
they
didn't
were in
even
the
tell us
trance and then
like
got out of it, and then
how do they know the Lords are coming to town? Did the witches like send a letter like after the fact? He's like, oh, we get a special concert and free tickets. I was like, who's providing
That's
these
true. Yeah,
tickets?
like,
You
yeah,
know?
did someone come to
the
Right.
devil, man.
Yeah, it just got sent to the desk the same way the disc did, right? The record.
Yeah, I guess right. But where's this like
Well,
coming
it
from, like
wasn't.
in reality, right?
It
Like
was
it
probably
becomes very
no, it was probably the girls that killed the dude. Like
okay, yeah, I guess so, right?
they
Like
were probably
the
the ones
modern day
handling the.
witches
Yeah,
there,
exactly. They
the
probably
three of them.
handled the
Yeah,
record and everything else.
right. I wish we got a little more like who exactly are they? Are they descendants of the witches? Like we really don't ever find out, right? Exactly who they are.
I don't
They're sort of
think we
just
do.
involved in this.
Yeah.
They're like involved. Obviously, they're like a modern day coven, and I assume they want like they must know an incantation to be able to bring these lords back. They figured it out some way somehow. But that's another thing where I feel like it just needed. I feel like you needed like a revisionist. Just needed a little more sort of focus and a little more polishing, and to give us a little more, I guess, coherency in the story because there's a lot of sort of incoherent stuff going on here. It's very like Suspiria in a lot of ways, where like there's a lot of like fever dream stuff going on and not based in reality and stuff. It does get a little confusing at times.
Yeah. So the once the guy figures it out, and then he goes to like another writer. My okay, so let me back up. So he figures it out, right? And then he's like, "Oh, I have this book, The False Witches or some whatever it was called. He's local, thank God. He's a 5 minute walk from my house." And then he goes to that guy, and then he's like, "Oh, were there any stories you didn't put in the book?" And the story he didn't put in the book is like the best story. Like, why wouldn't he put that in his original book? That makes zero sense. Like plot hole
Yeah,
or just
the
stupidness.
curse. Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole curse thing. Yeah, right. That was just sort of like a good way to info dump, to give us a little bit about it. So I get it. It had to be thrown in there some way, somehow, so we find out about this curse. But yeah, I mean, of course you wouldn't leave that out of your book.
Yeah, put that in the book. That's the best thing. Call it the curse of the fucking Salem. There you go. There's your plot.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I like the character. I like the dude that was investigating it. Like he seemed like a cool guy,
I did
a
too.
genuine person. And then when he goes to
Originally supposed
the
to be played by Bruce Dern,
oh
which I
really?
think that would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Dern had to drop out.
Huh. And then he goes
Mhm.
in the witch's den, and you're like, oh, he's fucked. So I thought that was a cool scene.
Yeah. Hmm. That was a great scene. Yeah, that was a really cool scene. Yeah, no, w- yeah, I mean, the three witches are great. Like, right, it's which is Dee Wallace. What's her name? The girl from
Barbara Crampton.
Rocky Horror, and is Crampton in there too?
She's in the
No,
movie, but she's not one of the witches.
she's in the movie, but she's not one of the witches. No,
Mm.
no, but Sid Haig and Michael Berryman play a couple of the Salem villagers in the
Oh,
flashback
cool.
scenes. I caught them, yeah, which I thought was cool. But yeah, no, John Hawthorne is a real person. For those who may not know, he was the judge that oversaw the witches and the real witch trials. There's no historical accuracy though to this movie like whatsoever if you're trying to figure out any sort of historical accuracy. But I thought that was cool that he was, he threw in some actual real names and stuff like that. I also thought it was cool that she was a descendant, and that was part of sort of the curse, to grab a descendant of John Hawthorne to be sort of the. And this is where it becomes very like Rosemary's Baby. I guess she gives birth to the Antichrist,
When was she
like that.
impregnated though?
I
By the little
I
thing?
think when that
Little
little
person
devil thing comes into the room,
with tentacles?
I guess he impregnates her,
Hmm,
and it spawns Satan.
okay.
Yeah,
And
but but there's no resolution, right? Like we find. I mean, I know we're like kind of jumping ahead, getting to the ending, but there's no real resolution there. Like we don't find out what the fuck happens. We just find out that there was like a mass suicide, quote unquote, at the end. We hear like the radio broadcast that all like the Salem descendants, obviously the witches got to them and killed them. But like, what happens now? I guess it's like, is it like the
Like
Omen? Like
Damien,
we could
yeah.
have, but it wasn't a human. It was fucking like it
Little
had like
tentacle
tentacles
guy.
and shit. Right.
Yeah, so her descent into madness or whatever, she goes on a little walk and she goes into a church in a graveyard and this priest comes out, which I thought was a really
Ah, I
creepy
hated that
scene.
scene, man.
Yeah, you didn't like when she gave the
Oh,
priest
the
a blowjob?
blowjob scene? No, I didn't like that at all. I thought it was too far, honestly. Like I get it, like right, like it's sort of like blasphemous and
Yeah,
whatnot, but I just didn't like it. To me, it was just too.
it's Rob Zombieism right there.
Yeah, that was like a big Rob Zombieism for me. I just didn't think it was necessary, and kind of came off more. I want to say comedic, but sort of in some ways. Like it didn't play like too serious for me. Like it was a little too far.
yeah, it also didn't really make sense because he puts her head down and then she immediately starts sucking. Like she didn't fight it.
Right.
She just and yeah, it was
It
a
was.
weird.
I mean, it's a dream. There's
Yeah,
like a lot of weird dream sequences in
a
this
lot.
movie. Yeah. That.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
why like that Bigfoot type sequence that happens in
Yeah.
apartment 5 and yeah, there's a lot of really
Hmm.
weird shit too. And we also see the ghosts of the witches like pop up, especially early in the
Hmm.
film. And there's one scene that actually made me
Yeah.
laugh where it's like the old dead naked lady is standing on the counter of her kitchen, and Sherry Moon comes into the apartment to feed the dog, and that but doesn't notice the figure standing on the counter.
I
And,
think she couldn't notice him.
and
That's what I took it.
Yeah.
yeah, and then she just leaves, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, how does that ghost feel? Like, so do I just stand here and just stay here till she comes
I've been
back?
standing here for
Like,
9 hours.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, well, it was such a weird scene.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
I
know. I
think
like
that
those little
I
scenes.
took it at yeah, I liked it too. I took it as like, okay, she can't see it, but it's there, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of this movie. Like, is a lot of these sort of what is real and what isn't, which I think is interesting. I appreciate that he just went fucking weird. Like he like
Definitely
I
did.
I do appreciate it. Like, yeah, but but it was honestly like in artistic ways. Like usually he goes weird, and it's like cringe or it's stupid.
Well,
But
think of
here, like,
weird
I feel
like
like he was,
H2 with the fucking unicorn. Or not unicorn, but like a white
yeah,
horse. Yeah.
right, yeah, yeah, which was just dumb. But here, I feel like it was like, I feel like it was really like pieces of art in some ways, honestly, and which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it was like a Dante's Inferno vibe, when she's walking through
Yeah,
like
for sure.
the church or whatever it is, and like there's demons jerking off. Like
Yeah,
it's funny, but it's also disturbing at the same time. So I'm like, all right,
disturbing.
this is
Right.
effective. Yeah. That whole sequence is really
Mm-hmm.
fucking cool. Like I love that part.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
what happens to Ken Foray in this? Anything?
Nothing. He's just like,
It's just
Nothing.
school and then
Yeah.
nothing.
yeah, he's like
What
waiting
about
for them outside of the concert, and then she goes into the concert but shuts the door on them. And that is the end of that we see
Mm-hmm.
of those two guys. Like, you just do
okay.
not go anywhere.
You think in any other movie these guys would both be killed like violently, either by
Yeah.
her or
Mm-hmm.
the Coven or something.
Mm-hmm.
Coven.
The
Right.
oven,
Why
man.
doesn't the coven? Why doesn't the coven kill him? Because he does show up at the boyfriend character. He does Jeffrey
Yeah, that's
Daniel
true.
Phillips. He does
Yeah.
show up, at the apartment at that one time, and she's like, "Tell him to wait outside for you" or whatever.
They're
Like it
just
was like they
chilling
were
on the fucking
trying to save
stairs,
them. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah,
smoking the
because I thought
reefer.
for sure they were gonna kill him in that moment, but they don't for whatever reason. I
Hmm.
think maybe they were trying to. If they killed him, they felt like it would have been pushed Sherry Moon over the edge a little too much.
I don't
And
know.
that's like part of the yeah, and that's like where the addiction thing comes in. Like obviously, I don't know if Zombie himself has dealt with addiction, or if obviously he's probably seen people deal with addiction. But I thought that was really interesting the way he tackled addiction in this movie as well, because like it's where I get into okay, yeah, she's descending in madness with her like the witch stuff, but it's also like a descent into someone, kind of relapsing and go and getting into the drugs. You actually see her, she relapses in this movie, goes and smokes meth and stuff like that too. So I thought that was like a sort of an interesting thing. It was something he obviously wanted to show and display of like how it can completely destroy lives and stuff like that. So I thought that was like pretty mature of him too, because like he's never done that. Like you watch his other movies and like it's usually pretty fucking like white trash redneck stuff. And this is just such a weird different descent for him. And I wish I wish he would do something else like this, because I think he has potential if he stays in this sort of realm rather than like the other stuff going back to sort of, I mean, obviously, he's going to go back to what made him the money with House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects and stuff like that. But I find this stuff far more interesting.
You don't want the monsters too?
I mean, I am one of the few people that actually like the
Okay,
monsters.
never mind.
So
Um, so does nobody else live in the apartment building she lives in? Because they're like chanting, they're screaming, they're running up and down the fucking hallway. She's alone, right?
It's a big apartment to live. Well, there are two of them, right? The
Well,
one
there's
that the
like
witch
6 doors in that
downstairs.
hallway though.
Yeah, exactly. It's the witch downstairs, but they only make you think like the apartment 5 is the only one that's vacant.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know what the other people
right,
are
but you
doing
never see
initially.
any of the other neighbors.
maybe
Right.
they're all witches.
They're all just
No.
hanging out,
Yeah, they all got headphones
minding
on.
their own damn business.
I like the Sasquatch scene. It was cool. It was like a demonic thing in the apartment. Isn't that when she gets assaulted, sexually assaulted?
I
Or
don't
no,
remember.
no.
No, she's just staring at the Red Cross at that point. There's
Oh, okay.
nothing. Yeah,
Okay, the little baby thing.
hmm.
This the first time we see it, and then this. Wait, the baby thing sexually assaults her, but then isn't that what she births too, or is that something different? I'm thinking of. What does she birth?
It's I think later, right? At the church, doesn't she? Is that when she?
I thought she saw it first before she did that.
Oh, she did. I think it was in bed, like because the
Oh, it
witch.
comes in her room.
Yeah, the witches like put her to bed, and then the thing comes back, and then that's when she bursts the. I think that's what it is.
Hmm. All
Okay.
right. Well, I mean, we learned the plot. You know that she is going to be like the sacrifice essentially, or bringing on the devil. The guy fails at his mission. He gets killed by the witches, beaten to death with a frying pan. Yeah, and then she kind of like transcends or whatever and is like the chosen one. She has that shot at the end where she's standing tall and proud, kind of like from Hereditary when he's just like standing there and watching everyone look at him. So I don't know. What do you guys think about like the very ending? Like I know we touched upon it where it was like a mass suicide, but is Sherry Moon alive? Is she dead? Is she a witch now or
Yeah,
possessed?
I felt like she was like the witch, like Witch Prime. She's now the one who's going to carry their like religion or whatever. Their all their ideas forward because they kind of present her as Mary, right? Like the Mother of God with on the top of the bodies, like just the imagery very much reminded me of Catholic imagery. So I think that's what the whole idea was at the end there.
Yeah, no, I felt a similar way. Yeah, like obviously this is sort of a story between God and the devil, so it makes sense at the end that it would be sort of a opposite type imagery and with Mary, but instead it's sort of the witch character. I mean, it was interesting. I wish we got some sort of reality basis though with the ending, instead of just sort of this sort of fever dream imagery, because otherwise, if you don't get that radio broadcast, you don't know what the fuck happened. And and you would have had to have stayed for post credits to hear that as well. Because I was ready to shut it off, and then I heard them start talking. I was like, oh, well, this might be important, so let me stick around. So yeah, I mean, I liked the ending, but I think we could have used a little bit, some sort of base in reality just to kind of send it home a little better.
Hot or not, Sherry Moon Zombie in the white makeup thing.
I'm indifferent about it. I didn't think it was hot, really. But I wouldn't say not either, I guess.
Don't get shy with it.
I mean, she's attractive, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
Yeah.
she's a
in
smoke show,
makeup,
man.
so
Especially in the beginning when she's
yeah,
fully nude for like 3 minutes.
yet artistically covered at the same time.
Yeah, strategically covered.
Yeah, although I think she has it in her contract that she has to show her butt in every movie. It's like, and they make it in a way that makes no sense. Like all of a sudden her like pants are just off, where it's just showing her ass. Like why? It's like it's a weird thing that she does in every single movie.
He likes showing it off, man.
I guess so.
He's proud of his wife's butt.
Yeah, but not the
May
rest.
we all be
Apparently.
so lucky. I mean, you see her topless in corpses. Not that we need to get in the weeds of it, but
Right, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's a not for me. I'm not digging the dreads with the white makeup and the skull lipstick thingy going on. I'm gonna pass on that. But yeah, otherwise she's smoke show. But yeah, final thoughts on her acting? I thought she, like I said earlier, very good in this, and normally she isn't.
Yeah, I thought she was good. Yeah, I have no complaints about her. I think she gets kind of a bad rap for the most part. I mean, is she like a fucking like top tier A+ actress? No, but have I ever seen anything in where I'm just like, oh, she's the worst actress? I've seen way worse performances from
Three from
other
now.
actresses in movies. So yeah, that's probably her worst role. I'm trying to think because like I thought she was fine in Halloween and Halloween 2. Like I
Yeah, you're
never
right.
was
She
like
is fine in that.
offended. Like yeah,
Come to think of
but
it,
yeah,
she
I
does kind of get bad rep.
I think this is probably Baby's probably her best performance because she was like perfect for that sort of craziness, but this is probably her second best performance. And as far as serious roles goes, this is easily her best performance.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the thing is, I think this was her best performance, and I don't think her performance like hurt the movie in any way. But I just wonder what it would be like with like a more seasoned actress, I guess I could say. And I wonder that a lot with his movies, but he always casts her in every starring role of pretty much all his movies. So, and that's kind of the thing, right? We're just comparing her to her basically. But I think if we put someone, just throwing a name out there like Anya Taylor-Joy, right? I think it could have been a better movie because she's kind of a better actress. So that's kind of the thing. But this is probably one of the better performances for sure from her.
All right. Think we're pretty set, right, gentlemen? Unless you got anything else.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's start it off then. I'll start it off with the rating. Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I look back on Letterboxd, I had this at a 1 out of 5. And yeah, my rating has gone up, I would say, significantly. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 this time around. I was like teetering between a 3 and a 3.5, but after sort of discussing it with you guys, I think that there's definitely some issues here that I just can't overlook. Especially I just think he needed a little more refinement, a little more polish, and this could have been a 3.5. And even with maybe even a little more based in reality, it could have been a 4.5 even maybe. I mean, I think there's so much potential here. But as it stands, I give it a 3 out of 5. And I hope we get something else like this from Zombie, because I did really appreciate sort of that he was able to go weird with it and do something different than he's normally known for.
Yeah, I'm up there. I'm at 3.5. Like you, I had it at a 1, maybe a half star before I rewatched it, a few years ago, and then this time, I did like it less than my last rewatch, but I still think it's a solid film. Appreciate that he gets fucking weird with it, and he was able to do his vision. He crowdfunded this, so this movie is all him. And I do agree with Joe too. It needs some refinement. It needs to be reined in a tad. Maybe another editor or writer comes in and just polishes up a bit. But 3.5 out of 5, and yeah, I enjoy it.
And I gave it a 3 out of 5. I definitely enjoyed it more than I did 10 years ago whenever I watched it. There's some great imagery, some really cool moments, but it just needed to be strained through somebody who I guess is better at cinema and film, just to tighten the story, put maybe fill in some gaps, and this could have been something really special, but definitely a better watch than the first time. So 3 out of 5 is around it.
Excellent. And yeah, if you are a big fan of this movie, like I said, a lot of the filming locations right here in Salem. So next time you come visit, go and check it out. Especially obviously the apartment. That's sort of the big character, I would say, in this movie as far as location wise. So
What
it's
about the
right
graveyard?
very close to
Graveyard, actual there
which one? The one with the
with
priest?
yeah, the one she walks through and then goes to that church.
No, that's definitely not in Salem. But like everything else is like all like the walking downtown shots for sure. When Jeffrey Daniel Phillips is riding his bike on the pier and stuff, that's all down at the Salem Willows. And most of it's just honestly like right on, and then right on Essex Street, which we all walked on, obviously. So that's you see Bruce Davidson walking there. Sherry Moon going into her meeting is right on Essex Street there, Old Town Hall, where they filmed Hocus Pocus and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of cool locations. All right, and so that's gonna be it for our review of Lords of Salem. I also want to mention currently sitting at a 2.9 over on Letterboxd, so pretty close to all of us for the most part. Although I feel like probably his least liked movie, would you say?
No.
Or is there something?
Probably
No,
Halloween 2, I'd
Or
imagine.
31, maybe.
Halloween
Oh,
2.
31.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Okay,
31's
I
my
always
least
feel like
favorite.
this one
No,
really
3 from
gets
Hell is my
shit
least
on,
favorite.
but
Oh yeah, three from
yeah,
hell.
three from hell is pretty bad. Yeah, jeez. All right, yeah, he's very 50-50. All right, so that's it for Lords of Salem. What do we get next week, Steve?
We are going back to 2024 and watching Sydney Sweeney in Immaculate.
All righty. Some naked nuns. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, you can keep up with the podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. You can email us anytime, the Horror Squad Podcast at gmail.com. But the absolute best way to keep up with the podcast is our Discord, completely free to join. It's linked over on our Instagram, or you can send us a DM to join in. We got Movie Club going every month that Steve hosts. Tons of horror and non-horror channels to sift through. Great community over there. Please join our community over on Discord. Also, if you haven't already, please leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. And you can buy merch, tpublic.com. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast over there. That's also linked on our Instagram if you'd like to buy some merch. Don't forget, once again, very important events coming up. Just about a month away until Living Dead Weekend in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, the home, of course, of Dawn of the Dead. That is June 7th through the 9th. Come join us for that. We are doing the 1 p.m. mall tour on Saturday and just going to be hanging out the rest of the weekend, all weekend, Living Dead Weekend. And of course, our Hocus Pocus event, October 11th through the 13th in Salem, Massachusetts. We can announce, unfortunately, Thora Birch will not be joining us this year for the event, but we will still have the rest of the cast, Armory Katz, who played Max, Vanessa Shaw, who played Allison, Jason Marsden, who voiced Binks the Cat. And joining them this year will be 2 new guests, Larry Bagby and Tobias Jelinek, who, of course, played the 2 bullies, Jay and Ice. And I think that's about it. So, once again, don't forget, next week, Immaculate. You can get it VOD currently. Check it out, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.